Okay, Steve. Again, I enjoyed it yesterday, and I just want to show you just a couple of things. I thought I had a image from the front with your driver, but I don't. I do have one with your iron, but I think I can get my point across here. So obviously, well, you probably don't recognize this guy. Maybe you do. It's Baddley. This line here is what we call the shaft plane, and it's just used as a reference. It's not the swing plane. The swing plane reference we use is typically from the center of the face up through the elbow. That's kind of the model, if you will. That's where you'd like to see that the hands and the club head, kind of trace for the most part, especially on the way down. Okay, most guys, when you get them right here at P2 or position 2, and that's when the shaft's parallel to the ground, most guys on tour, you'd be able to put their hands in the club right in that circle right there. If they err, it's usually going to be somewhere where that, above plane. We call that hands in, club out. Very seldom will you see a good player or a good ball striker with the club head behind them or under playing. Okay, very seldom. Now you can play from there, but you've essentially got what we call the club laid off, and it's a battle from that point on to save it. Um, there's a lot of good players that can play from there, but it just makes it so much more difficult. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm just going to play you back to P2, position 2, and what do you do? Okay, so you take that club and jab it inside like that. Okay, and if you look where your club face is pointing. Okay, most of the time we'll see the good players at this point about a 45-degree angle. Now, guys like Ricky Fowler and his club face is dead perpendicular to the shaft plane. Um, and then probably I guess I should point this out. The shoulders, the hands, and the arms, that's what we call the power package. That's what delivers the club to the ball. They do three things. The shoulders turn, okay? The left forearm, it rotates on the way back internally, on the way through externally. And the wrist cock or hinge up and down vertically. That's all they do. And more so the left than the right. We're trying to keep the right out of it as much as possible for now. Well, what you've got, and you kind of want that left, the back of the left wrist and the club face to match each other. Well, let's look at the back of your left wrist. Okay, you've over rotated the forearm. Okay, wrist cock's good, shoulder turns good, everything looks good, and a lot of, I mean, the majority of I hate to say majority of amateur golfers, but the average golfer does that. I did it till about 2006, and mostly because I'd never seen my swing on video. I'd never had it analyzed or evaluated. Seen it on video, but I didn't start. I taught for 15 years before I knew what I was doing with video. I'll put it that way. So I'm going to clean some of this up, get some of these lines off. Okay, so again, that's our initial shaft plane. Okay, so you can see Bad's club faces. Right there. Okay. Excuse me, man. I'm a little grungy this morning. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take it back to position 3, and that's where the left arm and the shaft form a 90-degree angle if you were looking from the front. Some guys teach it, they want the shaft to be parallel to the shaft plane. Whoops. And I'm just no good this morning. Chump. Okay. So, my point was, a lot of guys, Hank Haney, for instance, he'd want that club to be perfectly parallel right there. It's not that big a deal, but you don't want to see it laid off. See how the shaft of your club is pointing almost behind you right there? Okay. Not a huge deal, but there's just a better and easier way to do it, more efficient. Now you can't see it, but you've still got a lot of too much weight. You're really sliding into your right side. We'll see that a little bit better from the front. Okay, so when we get to the top, you can't see it perfectly, but what we want to see, remember we talked about your spine angle. You'd like to see the club face and the left arm and the shoulders pretty close to the same plane. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. It would be nice, but doesn't have to be. Okay, not bad. Look how far it goes past parallel. Now, that in and of itself is not a huge deal, but here's the deal. You've turned when you get to P3, you've turned your shoulders about as far as they need to turn, and then you just start reaching. Not necessary. It's not helping you a bit. What it does is it shrinks your margin for error. What it does. I'd like to get you about right here and stop. See, your club face is pretty dadgum good. Got a nice little cup in your left wrist, which I'm jealous of. I wish I had it. Club face, left arm, pretty good. And we talked about your spine angle. Okay. So I'm going to go back and take a look at that in just a second. The yellow line that I'm getting ready to draw, that's the infamous slot. And essentially what you're trying to do is to swing that club right down in that slot. See, now Aaron's got his hands and the shaft right down in that slot, and it matches up at P6. Well, actually P5. P5 and P6, the club should match up. P6, remember, is when the left arm is parallel to the ground, not the shaft. Okay, so not bad. Not bad right there. And one thing is, look at your right heel, how it's off the ground. And what that tells me is you're starting to what we call early extend your spine, or what we call humping the shaft. Your hips get where your hands should be at impact. Okay. So you were pretty much over the top. You did a pretty good job of saving it. I mean, that's not a bad impact position, but that right foot needs to be on the ground, or the heel just a little bit up. What you're trying to do is get your right knee to essentially kiss your left knee. See how Aaron's right knee works toward the target? It's not going to right field as much as it is toward the target. See that? And see how straight his right leg is, or straighter than yours is bent? Okay. Think of a jump shooter in basketball. They always say that you want to release the ball at the highest point of the jump shot. All right. Well, that's when you have the most extension in your legs and spine. All dynamic sports, all the power is usually when the spine is extended and your body's extended. You're not scrunched up, and you've heard this term, stack and tilts. Well, that's what that means. Legs under the hips under the torso. And if you were looking at Aaron from the side, Well, from the front view, you could see it a little bit better. But he's using ground pressure. He's pushing off the ground. Right at the moment of impact, he should be as extended as he could be. Okay. This next point I'm fixing, that's a good one, isn't it? I'm about to make is probably the most important. As we talk about flipping the club. So as Aaron works through the shot, and with the driver, you can get by with it a little bit more. But notice right here, this angle right there. Okay? The good strikers of the ball maintain that. And this is kind of a crappy video here, but most amateur players or average players you couldn't see the club head. It would already be past the hands. He holds that angle. Let's see where you're at with this. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all right there, but watch your left elbow. See how it appears real quick around your side? The chicken wing effect. That means your arms have come apart. And that's how you get by with it. Let's see where Aaron's arms are. Now you're going to see his left elbow, but not for a long time. You see how it's not extended, but it's not in that chicken wing orientation, if you will. What you're trying to do is keep those arms straight for as long as you can. See, at this point, both of his arms are still pretty straight. And I'll guarantee you your left arm is already starting to bend, if not already bent, see? Until you've come out of your spine angle. So let's go back. Just draw that spine angle line one time. Okay. So what I'd like to see in a perfect world, make as close to a 90-degree angle with the spine angle as we can. Excuse me. And what I can also do is I'm going to put, okay, so Aaron's spine angle is 51.4. Okay. Yours is right at 60-59. Okay. Not a big deal. There's no perfect. It's a body type, preference type thing, you know. Just I like your setup. I think your angles are really good. Let's just see if you can maintain them. Get rid of this junk here. Whoops. Stuff going all over the place. Okay. So he has to see the end. If I make a little blue dot and put it in his ear. Oh. Yeah, buddy. You're on fire. Fuego. Okay, sorry, little buddy. So, get him to the top. I mean, he really hasn't changed. Okay, he's maintained that. You're not in bad shape. See, that last little reaching move right there is what kills you. You see, you haven't come off the little ear line too much. Look where your shoulders are right there. Okay. This is not crazy scientific or perfect. So 55.5, about 3 degrees, not huge, but it does move a little bit. I'd like to see you. I'd like to see you down just a little bit more. Maintain that spine angle. No, it's actually not that bad. All right, now let's see what happens at impact. So if you're at 55, okay, that particular swing wasn't too bad. Let me change colors here for contrast, and let's see. Yeah, well, 67, 67.7. So it did move about 10 degrees. So look at this. He's almost into his finish, and he's maintained it. I mean, so the moral of the story here is he swings around that post there, if you will. It's on an angle. It's on a 63-degree angle. And a couple of common denominators amongst the best swings. One is they hit the ground in the same spot every single time, or really close. And the other is they maintain their dynamic tilt, if you will, or spine angle. I wish we had, in this shot here, I thought I had two of them. This was actually your good swing. Remember I told you, said you wouldn't see a lot of difference in the one that you skanked over into the other fairway. It's all club face. That's the difference. And everything that's happening with your body is what, creates that club face angle, good or bad or whatever. So more extension. You ought to feel like your arms are staying as straight as they can. If that grip is pointing at your belt buckle, you want to keep that relationship as close as you can at the same, turning at the same rate. There's a sequence in there: legs, hips, torso, arm, club. That's the way it moves in the downswing. First thing to go is the lower body. But what you're feeling and what you're really doing can be two different things. So I know that's a whole lot of stuff there, man. So don't get freaked out. I'll be glad to work with you for an hour or so and show you some drills and stuff that would really help you.